Peatlands are one of the most important natural ecosystems in the world. They play a key role in climate regulation, biodiversity conservation, and are a source of livelihood for the local community. The large-scale conversion and utilization of peat swamp forest in Southeast Asia have severely affected the integrity of peatlands in the region. More than 30% of peat swamp forests have been converted to agriculture, and a further 30% logged or degraded over the last 20 to 30 years. Furthermore, in the past 15 years, over 3 million hectares have burnt, leading to large-scale transboundary smoke haze, which has had serious environmental, economic, and health impacts. This trend of peatland loss and degradation will continue if there are no interventions. With the current rate loss, intact and functioning peatlands will disappear completely within a few decades.
Peatland Forest Project and the Southeast Asia Peat Project is one of the initiatives to implement the ASEAN Agreement on Transboundary Haze Pollution. As you know, the agreement was signed in the year 2002, and one of the key objectives is to reduce fires, especially from peatlands. So based on that, the ministers adopted the ASEAN Peatland Management Strategy, and we have also drafted the ASEAN Peatland Management Strategy. And to implement the strategy, then we need to focus on activities on peatlands. So this is where the ASEAN Peatland Forest Project came into being. It is a project that is funded by the Global Environment Facility with the International Fund for Agriculture Development as the implementing agency. The project started in 2010 and will be close in terms of the activities in June 2014. In the meantime, the European Union also expressed interest to support this project, and in fact the EU funding has been used to bring in those countries which did not have the GEF funds available. So all in all, through the ASEAN Peatland Forest Project and the Southeast Asia Peat Project, we were able to cover almost all 10 countries with national level activities and also regional activities.
The largest area of peatlands in Southeast Asia is found in Indonesia, which has an estimated at 21 million hectares, followed by Malaysia with 2.5 million hectares and Brunei Darussalam with 100,000 hectares of peatlands. Work has been undertaken under various initiatives in recent years to assess the extent of peatlands in Southeast Asian countries. New peat areas have recently been documented in Cambodia and Myanmar. There is a need for further surveys and assessments of peatlands to get a better estimate of the extent of peatlands in the region. This is being arranged under the APFP and CPEAT projects.
ASEAN Peatland Forest Project, APFP, comprises of a number of different components. A regional component, which is led by the Global Environment Center, which is the regional project executing agency, and country components, which are led by respective country national executing agency, which are primarily government agencies, but working with other partners at the country level. For the CPEAT project is fully executed by GEC, but working with partners, mainly non-government, non-profit organizations in the countries, but also coordinating with the government focal points to ensure an integrated approach to the project implementation. So we have focused on some of the key problems which are facing peatlands. So in the southern ASEAN countries, one of the big problems is related to fire burning in the peat, which leads to the key issue of transboundary haze. So we have worked with the countries and different experts to come with good examples of management practices for prevention of fire, working at the community level, working on water management, hydrological management and restoration of peatland, which reduce the risk of fire. We've also worked with the plantation sector, particularly the oil palm plantation, to document and come with best practice guidance, which has now been adopted by the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil, one of the main bodies guiding the work of the oil palm sector. We've also looked at good practices in terms of community livelihood, and there are new examples of community livelihood which has been documented and promoted by the project, and some of these examples have been transferred by the project to totally new countries. Like, for example, in the Philippines, before the project had relatively little experience of sustainable management of peatlands, and now they have adopted many of the practices or good practices from Indonesia, Malaysia or other countries in the region. So this has been the strength of the regional project, to be able to share the good practice and experience from one country to another.
Indonesia has over 20 million hectares of peatlands distributed across Sumatra, Kalimantan, and the Papua Islands. With this, Indonesia boasts the largest area of tropical peatlands in the world. This activity involves communities living in the peatland areas. They prevent and manage fires through a community fire brigade, Masyarakat Peduli Api, in Harapan Jaya Village, Riau Province.
Timbul inisiatif bagi masyarakat untuk membuat satu aturan, di mana aturan ini secara jelas di sana disampaikan bahwa bagi siapa yang membakar itu dikenakan denda atau penalti. Nah, oleh karena itu kita berharap ada semacam kesadaran yang timbul oleh masyarakat, bukan karena dendanya, tetapi karena efek dari membakar itu dapat merugikan pihak orang lain.
Dengan adanya tabat atau dam yang kami buat mulai tahun 2005, ini kita harapkan ruang antar dam itu menjadi habitat atau tempat tumbuh ikan lokal. Dan ini ternyata benar.
Jadi lahan gambut sebenarnya itu dibakar dengan ndak bagus yang ndak dibakar. Kalau dibakar terus, tanah itu tetap merah terus, ndak bisa jadi. Sampai kapanpun kalau kita masih melakukan pembakaran, tak akan mungkin jadi tanah, tak bisa bagus. Tapi kalau nggak dibakar, makin lama pupuk yang kita masukkan, pupuk kompos dari kandang segala macam, itu numpuk di situ, makin hitam makin bagus. Hasilnya bagus yang nggak dibakar.
To conserve the peatland ecosystem in Kampar Peninsula, Riau Province, the Pelalawan District Government, together with other stakeholders, are trying to develop ecotourism in the peatland areas. Bono are waves that move continuously up the Kampar River from the sea for hours on end. This phenomenon, which occurs annually, has become an international tourist attraction, especially among surfing enthusiasts. Festival Bekudo Bono, roughly translated as Riding the Bono Waves Festival, has been organized in 2011. This annual event is hoped to improve the welfare of communities living in the peatlands through the growth of tourism-related businesses such as transport, food, and accommodations. Locals will gain real benefit from conserving peatlands and be more willing to participate.
Keunikannya adalah The Bono itu tidak ada duanya di Indonesia dan bahkan juga di ASEAN. Nah, untuk itu kita harus manfaatkan ini untuk menjadi ikon pariwisata Kabupaten Pelalawan dan juga tentunya Pulau Riau, Provinsi Riau dan juga Indonesia.
Vietnam, 12.3 million hectares of land is covered in forest. Out of this number, about 10 million hectares in natural forest. Melaleuca forests are found over 12,000 hectares of peatlands, mainly in the lower Mekong Delta. It is estimated to cover about 24,000 hectares. A large area of peatlands here has been designed as protected areas as the U Minh Thong and U Minh Ha National Parks.
Thì để bảo tồn vườn quốc gia thì thật ra mà nói là đã qua thì chúng tôi làm rất nhiều cái việc. Một là không để cho cái rừng bị cháy. Cái thứ hai là các cái loài động thực vật là mình phải giữ cho nó tốt, đừng để cái người dân ở ngoài đi vào để rồi săn bắt cái khai thác. Cái thứ ba là mình chăm sóc và cái tái sinh tự nhiên để cho cái rừng nó phát triển. Để rồi đó là hai cái vấn đề này là tiến hành là song song. Một là cái rừng là mình.
Improving community livelihood is important to ensure that local will not encroach into the forest. Through the Green Contract Program, families are given small grants to develop an alternative income source. By helping them earn a better living, they no longer need to hunt wildlife or collect plants from the forest reserve to survive.
Tôi nghĩ rằng là cái đề xuất của tiến sĩ Raman về việc là vườn quốc gia U Minh Thượng có thể trở thành cái vườn di sản của ASEAN thì là một cái đề xuất rất là hay và rất là phù hợp với cái điều kiện mà vườn hiện nay là đang có cái công tác bảo tồn về cái khu vực U Minh Thượng này. Đây là một trong những cái vườn quốc gia rất là quan trọng của Việt Nam, nhưng mà đồng thời nó cũng thể hiện những cái nỗ lực của các nước ASEAN trong cái việc là bảo tồn thiên nhiên và đa dạng sinh học. Và như là chúng ta thấy qua quá trình chúng ta đi tham quan thực tế thì chúng thấy là cái công tác bảo tồn đây đang được thực hiện rất là tốt, và chính quyền Ủy ban Nhân dân tỉnh Kiên Giang cũng như là vườn quốc gia có rất nhiều sáng kiến và rất nhiều nỗ lực để làm công tác bảo tồn, làm sao cho cái khu vườn quốc gia U Minh Thượng trở thành một trong những khu bảo tồn tiêu biểu của Việt Nam. Và chúng tôi cũng rất là mong muốn rằng là các nước ASEAN ủng hộ để giới thiệu vườn quốc gia trở thành cái vườn di sản của ASEAN và giới thiệu với bạn bè của các nước ASEAN cũng như là với các bạn bè của các nước khác trên thế giới.
Raja Musa Peat Swamp Forest Reserve (RMFR) covers 23,000 hectares and is part of the North Selangor Peat Swamp Forest in the north of Selangor State, Malaysia. It is a significant block of remaining peat forest in Peninsular Malaysia and is an important ecosystem for freshwater sources and carbon storage. The protection of this ecosystem will significantly secure the storage of carbons in peatlands, a key greenhouse gas contributing to climate change.
Raja Musa telah diteroka. Dan daripada aktiviti teroka ini, aktiviti itu juga menyumbangkan satu lagi masalah, iaitu kebakaran terbuka. Dan disebabkan sistem parit ini dah ada, dan hutan ni kering, sering berlaku kekeringan. Bila berlaku kekeringan, api mudah boleh merebak masuk ke dalam hutan simpan. Bila kita dah tahu ini adalah punca utama, first action kita buat selepas kita tanam, walaupun kita dapat pembesarannya kurang baik dari segi peratusan hidup, kita buat apa? First kita pergi blok dengan bantuan Jabatan Perhutanan Negeri Selangor, kita pergi buat setiap perparitan yang dah sedia ada pada kawasan hutan simpan ini, terutamanya pada kawasan Ceroboh. Dan apabila kita dah blok sekatan tu, masa tu kita guna sistem tradisional. Kita tradisional iaitu kita guna kayu bakau, kita cocok dengan susun dengan guni yang berisi dengan tanah ataupun tanah gambut, tanah merah atau tanah gambut atau pasir. Kita susun supaya air itu kita dapat sekat, air itu tak dapat keluar then air itu dapat serap balik pada kawasan yang dah kering. Dan apabila benda ni dah berlaku, lama kelamaan air itu telah menjadi satu rawatan pada kawasan tersebut. Pada tahun 2008 sehingga sekarang, bukan sahaja perhutanan yang membuat penanaman, kita pun dah jemput banyak pihak-pihak korporat datang menyumbangkan bukan sahaja dana dengan tenaganya untuk menghijaukan balik kawasan ini.
Well, peatlands are very important for the environment, and conserving peatlands are very important in the fight against climate change, which is at the core of what the European Union is doing in the context of environment. Environment is a very high priority for us. We initiated our first environment action plan already in 1971, but it is a global issue, and therefore we are extremely happy that we can work with Malaysia in this context, with ASEAN as a whole. We are contributing to this project 1.8 million euro at the ASEAN, at the national and at the community level. The challenges are enormous, and that is why it is very important that they're jointly tackled by government, by NGOs and by the communities on the ground. And therefore, again, what we're doing here today, planting the trees, is of utmost importance and illustrative of how well all this can function if everybody pulls together.
Kita pun dah jemput pihak komuniti untuk datang membantu kita, bukan saja dari segi penanaman, kita juga memohon kerjasama komuniti untuk membuat pemantauan. Kalau kita lihat di sini, hutan ini 23,000 hektar. Kalau kita hanya nak perlukan ataupun kita nak bergantung kepada satu-satu pihak untuk membuat pemantauan, untuk membuat penguasaan, memang payah. Komuniti yang saya sebut, penglibatan komuniti yang saya sebut tadi, yang mana dari segi pemantauan, penanaman, semua ni adalah kita gelar sebagai sahabat hutan gambut Selangor Utara.
Yang pemantauan tu adalah memang sahabat hutan gambutnya. Tapi kita mungkin tiap-tiap hari lah. Apabila dipantau tu kita banyak kita punya boleh kata tugas lah kan. Untuk cek air, berapa banyak, berapa dalam kan. Lepas tu kita pergi ke kawasan seperti parit 5, parit 6, parit 7. Kita sama berjalan tu sama tengoklah keadaan. Memantau contoh kata macam ada kebakaran ke. Mungkin dia lah dapat tahu dulu. Dia akan kontak pada kita, sahabat yang lain. Kalau agak kita boleh kawal lah. Kalau tak boleh, kita kena panggil pihak seperti bomba ataupun perhutanan lah. Itulah yang kita.
The study of peatlands in Philippines only began in 2005. The APFP Project Philippines component, which started in 2010, is now leading conservation efforts in the 2 recorded peatlands in the country. One is in the Leyte Sabah, as in the other is in Caimpugan peatlands in Agusan Marsh. To date, Caimpugan peatlands is the largest recorded peatlands ecosystem in the Philippines, covering 5,300 hectares. A unique feature of the Caimpugan peatlands is its main peat dome. As the center of this dome is 1,000 hectares of pygmy forest, which is surrounded by a range of taller trees.
Sabi ng expert natin ni Dr. John Davis, it is called a peat dome. Ang sabi niya, peat dome usually develops in between 2 major rivers. So yung tall forest, kaya mataas siya, malapit siya sa river. So pag nag-overflow yung river, so it brings with it yung nutrients na nandun sa river, no? So aside from that, meron pang rainwater na bumabagsak. So dalawa yung sources ng nutrients side. Pero pag as you go inside the dome o yung gitna ng dome, wala nang nagfo-flow nag-overflow from the river. So isa lang yung source niya ng nutrients. So trees tend to be stunted.
Before, communities here didn't know that they are living on peatlands. They kept trying to grow food the conventional way, but their crops always failed. Now, thanks to visits and information from other countries, especially Indonesia, they practice sojourn farming and raised bad methods to grow their crops. Together with better information regarding crops which are suitable to peatlands, they can reap better harvest from the land. Peatlands are found mostly in the southern part of Thailand, particularly in Narathiwat, Nakhon Si Thammarat, Songkhla, Pathalung, Trang, and Suratthani.
Okay. This is a peer learning program, best management practices on peatland for community groups. And the purpose, the objective of this peer learning program basically is the experience sharing for the community living and dependence on peatlands. Peatland management is very important, and community that living within the peatland area, they need to know what other country are doing, and basically we encourage them to communicate, and hopefully that they will share that experience when they are back in the country. And for this program, we have 5 main community from 5 participating countries: Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, and Thailand. First day basically is thinking before the field visit. They should have a theory session, and then what we're going to highlight to the community is they need to know what is peat, and if they are living on peat and they need to depend on peatland for agriculture practices, they need to know what is the right way and how to plan to work on the peatlands. This is very important. If not one mistake is made, then there's no return. Yeah, basically day 2 they are visiting the fire control station to learn about how the Thai Royal Forestry Department manage the peatland and on the fire control, and how they do the restocking of the catfish in the peat swamp forest to support the community livelihood.
สำหรับการบริหารจัดการป่าพลุเพื่อรักษาป่าพลุไว้นะครับสำหรับพลุนครศรีธรรมราชนะครับโดยทางด้านของการป้องกันและควบคุมไฟป่านะครับเราก็คงดำเนินการตามกิจกรรมของการป้องกันไฟไม่ให้เกิดก่อนนะครับดีกว่าเราไปดับไฟที่เกิดแล้วนะครับสำหรับการป้องกันไฟไม่ให้เกิดก่อนก็อาจจะต้องเริ่มต้นที่การประชาสัมพันธ์สร้างจิตสำนึกให้กับชุมชนให้กับเยาวชนให้กับผู้นำชุมชนได้ตระหนักทราบถึงความสำคัญประโยชน์ของป่าพลุหรือผลเสียของไฟป่านะครับหรือว่ากิจกรรมของการลดระดับความรุนแรงของปัญหาไฟป่าที่อาจจะเกิดขึ้นโดยการที่เราพยายามจะรักษาระดับน้ำในป่าพลุให้มีอย่างต่อเนื่องตลอดไปจนถึงฤดูฝนใหม่จะมานะครับนั่นคือลักษณะของการป้องกันไฟไม่ให้เกิดหรือการลดระดับความรุนแรงของผลเสียหายจากไฟป่า
And the most important thing is culture, how their community that depends on the culture and how they work together with the department and to make use of the resources to sustain the livelihood and make the handicraft. And this handicraft actually is one of the main products from this Nakhon Si Thammarat area. And for day 3, basically is a visit to the Talanoi non-hunting area, which is also a Ramsar site. And basically is to show the best management practices on ecotourism and how the community can work together with the national park to protect the area in order to ensure the sustainability of the peatland ecosystem and the ecosystem of the whole wetlands and to support the livelihood of the community living adjacent to this wetland.
Project, the APFP, is a very unique project for IFAD. IFAD has been increasingly working more to combine this use of socioeconomic development with environmental management. And the APFP project is a very unique project because it's dealing with a very unique ecosystem, the peatland forests. So this project is looking to see how to reduce all of those pressures on these forests, because when these forests are cut down, the moisture in this forest is reduced and it makes it susceptible to forest fires. And the peatlands, once they catch on fire, it's very difficult process to put it out. And as a result, we've seen large-scale haze problems in the region. And so this project is focusing very much on addressing those issues, but in a way that meets the socioeconomic aspirations of the local communities living around these unique ecosystems. So by the end of the 4 years of the project, we hope to have tested a number of different techniques in peatland management, in fire prevention, in community mobilization, in alternative livelihoods. And we hope to have established some of these as best practice that we would be able to then scale up. Now, the challenge for us will be to come up with a second phase that looks at a much larger geographical scale and a time horizon that will enable us to leverage a much greater impact. Essentially, we have to protect these peatlands, the entire peatlands, as much as possible from encroachment, from land conversion, and very importantly from the danger of fire.